Hi, welcome to Crafty Purple Dragon channel. I wanted to tell you about a crochet along that I came across. I saw it on Facebook. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. It's by Alice Tarry. She's from the Burrow UK, and it's called Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, a crochet blanket cal. So this is the blanket. I thought it looked gorgeous and I will want to do it. It's as of filming, the cal is part way through, so not all the patterns have been released yet, but I've not started it yet. I think they're 4 weeks into a 7-week crochet along. So it uses Yarn Smith's Create DK, but I decided I wanted to use my stash yarn. She does provide some alternatives if you want to use Stylecraft Special DK or Hayfield Bonus DK. So anyway, I've had a look through my stash and looking at these yarn requirements, this is what I've come up with. So I've got black. So a while ago I bought quite a few bits from this company called Marriner. They don't exist anymore, but I do have quite a few bits from them. So I'm going to be using predominantly that stuff with some little additions because I don't have all the colours in this make. So there's the black. Now they are, I believe, 2 different dye lots, but will it matter? I don't know. They do look slightly different shades actually, to me. I'm not so sure about on camera. But I think because you're not having massive amounts of the same colour next to each other, it should be okay. So that's black. Next colour is white. I didn't have enough marriner white, so I have some sirdar snuggly. Sirdar Snuggly DK. These are 50-gram balls. So I've got 4 of those, which makes 200 grams of white. So because they were little 50-gram balls, I've caked them. Because who doesn't love making a cake? So that's the black and the white. We need blue. It's quite a bright blue. So I went with this marriner one, which I think is a royal blue. So we just need one of those. So that's blue. Green. I didn't have any green in the marriner. I've got this bonus DK, which is fern green. So I'm going with that. I think they seem pretty similar in the they're both DK. Should be okay. So that's green. Yellow / gold, 200 grams. So this is what I've ended up with for the yellow. Again, I think they're different dye lots. These don't seem that different, but again, I'm not going to get overly worried about it. So So there's 2 yellows. Teal, I didn't have any teal, so I've been out to the yarn store this morning. I wanted to buy Hayfield Bonus to match this, to try and avoid having too many different yarn brands, but my local yarn stores stopped doing the bonus DK. They've gone over to Stylecraft, so I ended up having to get this one. So this is Empire. I thought that was a nice teal colour. So I've got one of those. Red. I've got this one from Mum's Stash, which is a Marriner again. So that's red. Purple is from my stash, a Marriner one. It's not quite as vibrant a purple as the Yarnsmiths one that she's recommending, but the other purple I've got is like a dark Emperor purple, so I thought I'd use that one. And then the final colour is pink. So the only pink I had in my stash was this one, and it wasn't quite as vibrant as I wanted it, or as is shown in the pattern there. So, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to knock you. When I went to the shop, I came back with this, which as you can see is quite a lot brighter, and this is a Stylecraft again. It is bright pink, so I'm hoping that does okay for the yarns for the cowl. So I should have a look, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 1 2 3 4 5 9 colours. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 colours, and that is the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland cowl. Now you can buy the yarn packs from the Wool Warehouse, but like I say, I wanted to use as much as I could from my stash, and I'm quite chuffed with that actually, because I've only bought these 2, and on screen this looks a lot more bluey, but it is a teal colour. So this is the blanket here, and this is the layout of the blanket and the weeks, or the different parts of the cowl. So it starts with 1, and then for part 2 it's around the edge, and then part 3 is various parts. So I thought that was quite good. 3 4 4. So these are the different parts. So I thought I would do this cowl and document my journey, and then put it all out in a video for people to have a look at. I'll leave links to the pattern. It's available on Ravelry. I think you can buy it. I don't think you can buy the pattern off Wool Warehouse actually. I think you just buy the yarn packs, and there's a link through to it. Let's have a look. Let's go and have a look on Wool Warehouse. There's a few of her other patterns on Wool Warehouse as well. So as of filming, it's at 21% off. It's currently £22.90. It should be £29.25. That's the yarn pack. There's no pattern included with this pack, but there is a link to Alice's Ravelry site where she'll be hosting the cow. So it started on the 1st of August and then it's released every Friday. But if we have a look at the Ravelry page, so this is the Ravelry page for the cow. As of filming, it's £3. It says the pattern is available for £3. Each week, the next part of the pattern will be sent to you automatically. The pattern will be £3 for the duration of the cow, then £6 afterwards as a complete pattern. So I thought it looked quite interesting. It's quite textured. There's quite some 3D elements. There's little legs sticking out. There's motifs to be sewn on. Pom-poms and things. I just thought it was quite interesting. And it will hopefully be enjoyable to do. So I've got my yarn and I'm going to start. So let's give it a go. Hi, I'm back. I just thought I would show you what I use to help me keep track of my crochet projects. I use an app called Yarnly. I do pay for it, but there is a free version. So this keeps a track of all my projects. I'm going to add a new project. And I'm going to import from Ravelry because I've already started setting it up on Ravelry. If it'll show it. Why is it not showing it? So this is the Yarnly page, my project page. I've used a picture from the pattern, from the introduction. I've included the yarn out of my stash, and I just need to update that to include the new yarn that I've bought today. Let me just do that. Okay, I've updated my Ravelry page now. Let's see if it will import into Yarnly. Let me just update. Import from Ravelry. It's not doing it, is it? I don't know why. It normally does. It's in progress. It's got pictures. It's in progress. There's a tide date. It's got pictures. It's got stuff. It's got yarn included. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yarns. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yarn. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why it's not importing. Let me add some actual progress on the page. Right, it's 10%. It's in progress. Let's try now. So, which I did in the project? Import from Ravelry. No, it's not working. Okay, so we'll just add a new project. So we'll give it a name. Adventures. I mean, you can call it whatever you like. Adventures Cow, I'll call it. It's crochet, it's in progress. I'll give it... this is just for the banner on my project list. Nothing too problematic. I'll give it that colour. So this is where I record all my progress. There's a timer, so that keeps track of your total time. You can reset it at any point. There's a row counter. You can have multiple different row counters. You can include the pattern, so I will upload the pattern particular part that I'm working on. So you can browse for a PDF. You can include a photo if you've done a screenshot. You can link to a web page, or that includes like a YouTube tutorial. I'm not sure about Instagram, but I know YouTube can be added there. You can add all your materials. It calculates a price for a suggested sale. You can add your hooks. I'm going to be using a 4mm. This would all import from Ravelry if it would import from Ravelry. I'm not going to import the yarn because that's all included on Ravelry. The only reason I've added the hook here is so that I don't forget. And then when I'm ready to start, I'll just press play and it'll start recording my time. And I add, you know, I do plus to add a row. And because I use this to refer to the pattern, I have this open all the time. So I will get the pattern included and then we'll get cracking. Okay, so here's my pattern in the project. So I can press play when I'm ready to go. I can do my row counter, and then I can put rulers down, a vertical and a horizontal, so that I can keep track of where I'm up to in the pattern. So I'll show you that in a second. So here I'll just demonstrate the ruler. You can have it whatever colour you like. I'll go with pink. You can have it as dark or as light as you like. And you can see it's here. So if we bring that down, you can have it as wide as you like. So if you've got a particularly large part of the pattern that you're following, you can make it large, or you can make it one line at a time. I'm not sure how big I'll need it yet. I'll just leave it like that for now. And then that you can move it as you need to as you're going through the pattern. So that's handy as well. Let's find out what I need for part 1. I was just looking here, but I should have scrolled up, and there it is. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland cow. It then imports it, and then it will sync everything. So when I put, see, it's got my material costs in there already. The fact that it's a 4mm hook, it says what all the yarns are that I'm using. So that's automatically been imported from Ravelry. And when I add photos to my project on Ravelry, it'll update the project image. So all I'm going to do now is transfer the time that I've already got on this other one, 4 hours and 18 minutes. So you can adjust the timer. We can edit. We'll go 0, 4, 18. So that's put a project timer of 4:18. And where was I? I was on round 12. So I'll put the row counter to 12. And then I'm right. I can edit. Oh, you can unlink and sync at any time. You can have as many row counters as you like. You just press add. So when I was doing the legs, I added a row counter separate from the main counter for the legs. Oh, I need to add my pattern. Let me just do that. Browse for PDF. Alice part 1. So I've got my pattern in there again. So I'm all set up on that. So now what I'll do is I'll delete this one. So to delete a project, you go into it. No, you don't. You go up here and you press delete. Delete project, yes, because I don't need it anymore because I've got the one joined up with Ravelry. Can I change the colour? Do it in here. So I can change the colour. We'll go blue purple. And there we go. So that's the Yarnly app. Now I think there's certain features that are available to me because I pay for the app. I think it's something like £14 a year, which I think is worth it, to be honest. And I have had some cause to contact the developers, and they were very responsive, and they solved the issue that I had, you know, and they kept talking to me about the issue and clarifying and asking me when certain circumstances had happened that had caused the issue so that they could resolve it. So yeah, I was very impressed with that. So right, time to crack on. Okay, I've put my yarn into a project basket. I'm starting with black, so I need to get my hook, and there's a 4mm hook. My preferred hooks are Clover Soft Touch, so that's what I'll be using for this project. And I use a yarn genie. Get that? So this is the yarn genie. There's variations of this available now. This was the original wool genie, it's called, sorry. There are some cheap knockoffs that look similar to it, but I've noticed the head design here is different and they're not that great. So this is the original. I like it because it releases the wool nicely as you go in. It takes it from the outside, which is preferable on these balls that aren't designed as centre pulls. So I prefer to work with them as intended and take from the outside. And then what I tend to do is cake them when they start getting a bit smaller, start to sort of squash down. Okay, so we'll get cracking. So we're starting with a magic ring. I like, if I can, to do a double magic ring just to make it a bit more secure. Oops, does mean it's a bit awkward, can be a bit awkward to start. So I don't know if you're aware of the double magic ring. Let's put that over there out of the way. The idea of a magic ring is you pull the end to tighten the ring. With the double magic ring, you have to pull one of these first, and to figure out which one it needs to be, I pull the end gently. But I'll do that when I've done my stitches. So I'm just doing 6 single crochet. I've lost me. So you can start with a chain 4 if you want, you know, whatever your preferred method of starting. So we're doing 6 single crochet. Now, personally, I use stitch markers just so that I can keep track of things. So let me get a couple of stitch markers handy. Don't know how many I'll need. I'll get 4, you never know. Okay. So I usually mark my first stitch, so, and particularly because it's black. So we're doing a single crochet to start. I can't even get the stitch marker in. Okay. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we need to slip stitch into the first. So what I do to close this ring is I'll pull gently on the end here. That shows me which one of the 2 strands is moving. It was this one. So I know that this is the one I've got to tighten. I need to tighten that one first and then tighten the second one by pulling this. So I tighten this one first in the hope that it will pull down. It's not the easiest thing to show in black yarn, but there are tutorials for this elsewhere on YouTube. So I pull that tight first, and then I pull the end, and that gives a secure magic ring that's not moving. And then obviously I'll sew in my ends as well. So I've got to slip stitch to join. Take this out. Oh, that's the end. Oh, there we go. So there's 6 stitches. So this is the standard circle. We're now doing an increase in each stitch around. Now I prefer to mark my last stitch rather than my first stitch. It's a preference. So this is going to grow like a normal circle will grow, so I'll come back when I've done that. Okay, I'm at the end of round 4. We've increased as you would do normally for amigurumi. That's what was getting me confused. I was thinking amigurumi, that's why I was marking my last stitch. But I wouldn't necessarily mark my last stitch when closing the round, but it's black. So I thought marking the last and first would be helpful because of the colour of the yarn. So for round 5 we're switching to half double crochets. Now the pattern talks about a chain 3 to get the height for a half double and a chain 1. But I prefer to do a stacked single crochet, so that's what I'll do. So for round 4, sorry, did I say round? Yeah, for round 5 we're switching to half doubles, so I'm going to do a stacked single crochet. So for that you do a single crochet, and then you do a single crochet again on top of the first one, and that takes you up the height of a half double, and I think it looks better than a chain 3. So that's what I tend to do instead of chain 3s, is a stacked single crochet of appropriate number of stacks. So for a double crochet I would do 3, for a treble crochet I would do 4. Depends on your tension. So that's what I do in preference to a chain at the start of a round. I know you can do starting double crochets. It's a little bit more difficult with a half double. Or standing, should I say. But that's a little bit more difficult when you're already... They're alright for joining. I think it's a bit more difficult when you're moving up from the row below. Right, I'll carry on. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm joining this round, and because I haven't done a chain, it actually means it's easier to join because you just join into the top of a normal stitch. It's so much easier than a chain, and it looks, I think it looks more consistent. Not that you can tell because it's black. Okay, round 6, we've got slip stitch into the next chain space. Okay, wants us to do a chain again to start for the height of a double crochet. So I'm going to do 3 stacked single crochets, 2, 3. That's about the height of a double. Okay, I'll carry on with round 6. Okay, so I've come to the end of round 6, and the pattern says to slip stitch to the top of the chain space, or the 3rd chain of the chain 4, and fasten off. But I don't like to do that to fasten off. I like to do what's called an invisible join or a needle join. So that's how I'm going to fasten off. So I need a needle. I need my scissors. So I don't know if you're familiar with the invisible / needle join, but I will show you as best I can with black yarn. Maybe not a good idea. Okay, so you cut your yarn and you pull it out of the stitch, thread it onto the needle, and basically what we're going to do is create, there's supposed to be a chain 1 space here, so I'm going to create a chain using my needle. So normally if you were going to do an invisible join, you would be creating the top of this stitch, so you would go into the next stitch to create a stitch over the top of there. But I'm going to create the chain that we need in between here, so I'm going to go into this stitch, and then you just pull the yarn so that it looks like one of the other chains, and you go down into the stitch that it's coming out of, down behind both the top loop and the 3rd loop, and that creates a false stitch that basically looks like a chain stitch. And then I'll bring it back across here and down into the work so that you can't tell. It saves having a bump. I don't like a bump. And then you just weave in like you would do normally, weaving your ends. I don't tend to do that straight away, just in case I notice an error later on and I can undo it. I usually wait 4 or 5 rounds, and then I'll start to weave in 1 round at a time. So finish the 5th round, weave in the 1st colour, finish the 6th round, weave in the 2nd round, etc. So that's where we're up to so far. That's up to round 6. I need to change my yarn, and I'm going with yarn C, which is the blue. So it looks like unusually there was a centre pull in my blue, so Don't have to put it on my wool genie. Now this instruction is chain 5, which counts as a DC and a chain 2. So for this I'm going to do a standing double crochet. Now I don't know about you, but I like to stagger my joins so that I don't have the yarn ends all in the same place. So I tend to do like a quarter turn and then do my join, unless the pattern says to join anywhere else specific. So I'm doing a double crochet, so I'm putting my slip knot or equivalent and my yarn over onto my hook, and then I'm going to join it to my piece. It says to join in a chain space, so I'm doing a double crochet like so. I'll mark my first stitch. Okay, that's my starting stitch, standing double crochet. I will continue the pattern and I'll be back. Okay, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the starting or standing double crochet. So let's do that. So we're just going under the top of the stitch. Looks a little bit different, but it's still basically the same. Okay, that's the end of round 7. So on to round 8. I'll do that and come back. Okay, I'm at the end of round 8. Some nice little petals, and we've got to fasten off. So again, I will be doing a needle join. So I'll cut my yarn. Oh, I could have left me black on the wool genie because I'm going back to black. Okay, thread the needle. And this time we're not adding a stitch because there's no chain here. I've got to create a false top for that stitch there. So I need to go into the stitch beyond it, and then let's get rid of this. I'm creating the top of that stitch, so we go down where the yarn's coming out of. I'm creating the top of that stitch. Give it a snug up. Okay, and then we'll go back down there just to create the third loop of the single crochet stitch that is. So you can see we've got a third loop there, and that's it. All good. That will get woven in at a later date. So that is the finished round 8. Okay, I've got to go back to black. So I could have left it on the wool genie, but I didn't realise I was going to be able to centre pull that other one. It was there waiting for me. I'm not for or against, center or outside. It's whatever the ball is designed to do or makes easy to do. That's what I'll do. Okay, round 9, back with black. I'll do that and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've come to the end of round 9. Now for this round we were required to crochet into the 3rd loop all the way around. So that means that because I did the needle join and made myself a 3rd loop, you can't tell where the join was on round 8. I can't sing the praises of the needle join or invisible join enough, honestly. It's great, I love it. So now I've just got to slip stitch the top of here and get ready for round 10, which is a simple single crochet, etc. all the way around. So I will do that and come back. Actually, before I do the next round, what I want to show you is a way of hiding your ends. So I've got here the end from joining. So I'm just going to thread that on a needle. So depending on the stitch that you're going to do in the next row to hide the same colour, what I do is thread this up through the stitch and then I just put it through a few of the stitches in that row, and then as I crochet over it, it hides it. You can't see it, and I'll crochet over it, and that helps to secure the ends. What's left I'll sew in as normal. Okay, I'm at the end of round 10 and I need to do a needle join to make a chain here. So I'm going to go into the first stitch and make myself a little chain in there, and that'll be the end of round 10. Oh, black yarn. Right. So, on with the next part of the pattern, which I believe is to do something round here. I'll come back when that's done. Hi, I'm back. I've got to the end of the ruffle section. So there's 2 rounds of white ruffles and 1 round of blue ruffles. Now the pattern then goes on to talk about the legs, to do the legs that come out the middle, but I'm going to leave that to the end. So I'm now going to continue with yarn D, which is the green, for round 11. So I'll do round 11 in the green and I will come back and show you. Okay, I'm at the end of round 11 and I've just got to slip stitch. Now then, the next round is front loop only, so I'm just going to slip stitch into the front loop there, and then we've got to do trebles. So I'm going to do stacked single crochet in place of the first treble, and then I've got to do trebles all the way around. So I shall do that and then show you. Okay, so that's the end of round 11. No, it's not. That's the end of round 12. So it's just a round of trebles, and then what we're going to do next time is fold them over for the next round. But that's it for today for me. It's tea time, so I'm going to go and eat something, and we'll come back next time and do round 13, which is to fold this over. Just to say that I did the legs. They're uneven. I don't know what happened. I was doing it while watching telly. So I maybe wasn't concentrating. There is a difference. This shoe's bigger than this shoe. Maybe I'll redo them. I don't know. Just starting with black yarn was really awkward. I might try making them again, starting from the top and finishing with the shoe. I don't know. Also, what I didn't do was make them stripy. I just couldn't cope with the colour change. So it's just white tights, white legs and black shoes. So the idea is, they get put in the middle like so. Cute. So I think white's okay. Like I say, I might make them again before I come to attach them. Now, in the pattern, doesn't actually say whether to stuff them or not. So I haven't stuffed them. It could take a little bit of stuffing, but the only thing that's in the bottom is the tail ends, which sort of pad the feet out a bit. Also, it doesn't tell you when to attach them to the to this. It doesn't say when to attach them, but I notice in the pictures in the pattern they are attached. Let's have a look. So it talks about the legs, and then the legs are attached in the pattern. So if you see the picture, it shows the legs having been made, and then they're attached, and then it starts on the next round. But I don't know, they just, to me, they seem like they'd be in the way, so I'm not attaching them yet. I might remake them. I'll see how I feel when I finish. I'm not going to attach them until I finished, I don't think. I don't know, will it be harder to sew them on when it's a bigger square? I don't know. Oh, decisions. Okay, so just a little update about the legs. That's the dodgy leg. So I did another one. Is that the dodgy leg? Anyway, I've got 3 legs now, and I'm still not overly happy with the 3 that I've got. So I might do I might start again with a different sized hook, I don't know. Like, in the scheme of things, will it matter? I think those two aren't too bad. Let's have a look. I think those two will be okay. They might be okay. Anyway, we'll see when the square's finished. So I've now got to go and do round 13, which is continuing the ridge, folding the ridge. This is, so I have done a number of patterns by a designer called Helen Shrimpton. She is from Crystals and Crochet. She calls this stitch the folding single crochet, because in order to fold these trebles you have to do a single crochet in the ridge or in the back loop that you've left. So that's what we're going to do next. Just thought I'd show you the folding single crochet. So you go through the top of the treble and then you go down into the back loop from the stitch, and you finish off with a single crochet. So it's into the top, under the back loop, and then complete the single crochet under the treble, down into the back loop, and finish the single crochet, and that's it. It's a bit fiddly, but provided you remember to do front loop only for all the trebles, you're fine. Whoop. And it results in this ridge all the way around. And that is the completed round 13 with all the trebles folded over into folded single crochets. That looks good. Nice effect. Gives some depth, some texture, some 3D-ness along with these ruffles. Cool. Okay, so to square off a circle you have to do 4 corners. So I've marked off, yeah, the 4 corners will be. So it's every 4th popcorn needs marking. 1, 2, sorry, every 3rd popcorn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then back 1, 2, 3. And then we start with a corner row. So again, this is something that I find Yarnly is useful for, because I've got different row counters. I've got the main row counter for the whole project. I've got the counter that I use for the legs, and then I've got a counter that I've prepared for the corner sections, just so that I don't have to keep resetting and getting lost on where I am in the whole project. So I'm now going to do the corner bits, and I'll come back when I've done the first bit. Okay, this is the corner piece. So I need 4 of these. I've just done 1 for now. The red, I did have a look for other reds. but I don't have any other reds of sufficient quantity, so that'll have to do. Do you think it looks mushroomy? The red? Is it a red mushroomy colour? Anyway, I've now got to do the other 4, the other 3, so I shall do that, and then we'll be ready for carrying on with the blanket proper, which will be round 19. So I'll come back to show you when I've done the other 3 corner pieces. Okay, so here we are, all the corners are done. Well, this part of the corner anyway. Oh, there's so much yarn, so many ends to weave in. Oh well, I'll get around to it. So next we'll be doing round 19 with the teal yarn. In the meantime, I've got a couple of ends that I'm due to weave in from lower down, and then I'll get cracking. Okay, this is best I can fathom. Round 19. I've done the first side. So it's a little bit, or I'm a little bit unclear, and this designer doesn't seem to have a YouTube video, or at least this cow is only supported on Instagram, and I'm not very good with Instagram. The videos, she has done videos to help with certain parts of the pattern, but the videos are fast and I can't figure out if you can slow them down. So I would have found YouTube videos more helpful. But anyway, I think I've managed it. So when it comes to the next round, if I haven't fathomed it, I will have to fudge, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. So I'm now going to do the other 3 sides. So that's where we are with round 19. So round 20 is the same colour, and we're just squaring it off by putting in different size stitches. So we'll start, you know, single, single, half double, 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 half double, half double, single, 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 like that, just to make it a bit more square. So I shall do that now. Okay, so this is the end of round 20. It's starting to look a bit more square now, and the mess that is the back. So I have done some of my ends. I'm working my way out. Now I believe, but I haven't got there yet, I believe these mushrooms are going to have little dots on them. So rather than adding to the mess of ends by including new yarn, I'm hoping to incorporate the ends. I'm not sure if I've left them long enough to make some dots. That's my hope anyway. Right, so I've still got the teal attached, and it's on to round 21. So before I get on to round 22, I was just looking at the back here and all the ends that there are. Obviously I'll have to weave them in, but what I was thinking is with this teal colour, there's a few ends that are teal from when I made the corners, as well as when I did these rounds. So round 22 is just let's have a look, single crochets in stitches and chain spaces. So what I think I'm going to do is thread ends up to this row, thread them through the stitches, and then I can stitch over them when I do the next round. So that's what I'm going to do before I do the next round. Okay, I thought I'd just show you what I was doing. So far I've sewn in and brought out the ends through the stitches, and then I put them through a few stitches, and they'll get stitched in that way. Now this does kind of scupper any opportunity for frogging. So if my stitch count is off on this round, which obviously I'll find out when I'm doing the next round, I'm going to have to fudge. I'm not going to be able to frog because I've already stitched in my ends basically. So what I've done is, as much as I can, avoided putting the thread through the same stitches twice because there's two threads, so I've kept them through different stitches. So just to show you, I've stitched this one through a few stitches, and then I'll show you how I put it into the top. Now let me just zoom in if I can. Okay, so as you would do normally for sewing in the ends, and then I bring it up and out through the middle of the stitch, and then under the back loop of a few stitches. Sorry, I can't see because I'm trying to... Okay. And then I just catch a few stitches. Don't need to be many. You can do as many as you like. You can do consecutive stitches like I have there, or you can skip, do alternate stitches. And then as we go round, just zoom back out, as you're crocheting around, you can, obviously you'll crochet over the stitches that have been threaded through the top, the back loops, but then you can also carry on stitching in part of the ends, and call it quits. Or I tend to sew in as well. I'm a bit paranoid about ends. Right, on to the next round. And that's the end of round 22. My stitch count is correct, so I avoided any issues there. And as you can see, the teal yarn from the previous rounds is now incorporated into that row. And what I'm going to do, because the next round is also just plain stitches all the way around, just with a different colour, single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to do the same thing with blue. I've checked my stitch count, so I'm going to thread each of those ends. Luckily there's only two this time, so I'll thread each of those ends through the stitches, and then that will be incorporated into the next round. It just helps get rid of some of these long ends at the back. These bits that are left, if they're long enough, I will probably still weave them through, just because, like I said, I'm a bit paranoid when it comes to ends potentially working their way out. I want to try and avoid that as much as I can. So next round, 23, is purple. Okay, so I did what I wasn't supposed to do, and I spent some more money on this project. I wanted to see what alternative purple I could find, because this just felt a bit muted. So I went to a different shop in a different town, and I found a place that does the bonus Hayfield bonus DK. Now, they didn't have the suggested alternative colour. Let's have a look. What is it? Let me just find the intro. The alternative was neon purple, which they didn't have. So I got bright purple. A magenta. So that's magenta instead of the pink that I got, which was bright pink, which wasn't an alternative suggestion. The Stylecraft alternative was fuchsia purple, and that is bright pink. So this is more of a purpley pink. This is a bright pink. So I think I'm going to use that instead of that. So we'll get rid of the pink. Oops. So I'll put that in there. Now the red was supposedly, let's just put the purples on one side for a minute because I'm not decided about those. The suggested alternative purple was Ladybird, which is this. Obviously I've already started with this, but I've only done the 4 little mushrooms. Now I think that's quite similar. This is brighter than this. And while I was there, I saw this, which was a signal red, which I thought was quite bright, because in the Yarnsmiths, it's crimson, which looks quite red, quite bright red to me. So anyway, that exercise, I think, has led me to stay with what I've started with, I think. This one is too dark for my choices, I think. And this is probably quite bright enough, but I'll just stay with this one. So those two can go out the way. I've got some reds. So that's 3 balls of yarn I bought that I didn't need to. And I need to decide about the purple. So I'm not sure. What do we think? Keep the one that I was intending to use, or Right, what is my next? It's a round of single crochet. It is quite bright. Purple orchid. It is quite bright. No, I think I'll stick with what I planned because I know that I can get more of this for another project in the future, but I can't get more of this. So colour matching to this would be more difficult. So I'm going to stick with what I'd planned. I'm going to get rid of that, which means that from the 4 balls of yarn I bought today, I needn't have bought 3 of them because the only one I've swapped out is the pink. But hey ho, we do this. I'll use those for something else. It's fine. Right, let's get this purple done. Okay, I've just made a little bit of progress. I did round 23, which was the purple, single crochet all the way around. I did round 24, which was the magenta, single crochet all the way around. And I finished the spots on the mushrooms. Some I think look better than others, but I did do what I said I was going to do, and I used the tail ends from the mushroom base instead of adding extra yarn to reduce the tail ends. So I just did it as part of the sewing in process. So next stage is to do the border, which consists of alternate stitches of black and white with red in the corners as love hearts. So I will be tackling that next. So I'm doing the alternating border here, and the way I do it is to stop my yarn getting tangled. It's fairly easy when you're using 2 colours. I always have one colour that I keep at the front of the work and one colour that I keep at the back of the work, and that just avoids them tangling. Now in this case, just for ease of memory, I've got the white yarn, which is yarn A, at the front, and I've got the black yarn, which is yarn B, at the back. And I'm carrying it along the bottom as well. So go into the stitch. It's a bit tedious this because it's changing colour each stitch. Oops. Bring that to the front, pick up the black, finish the yarn over in the black, give the white a bit of a tug. Next stitch, going over the yarn that I'm not using, give it a slight tug to make sure it's quite tight. Black goes to the back, B back, finish. Just give that black a little bit of a tug, not too much, and then we'll do the next stitch, going over the black. A comes to the front, finish with B, give the white a little bit of a tug. Next stitch is black, going over the white, and that's it. It's quite tedious doing one stitch at a time, but I think the effect is quite good. So I'll carry on doing that and I'll show you the result when I get to the end. When I get to this corner, I've got to bring in red, which I've got set up on my wool genie over here. So I reached the end of row 1. Now if I'm reading the pattern correctly, my last stitch into the corner was supposed to be in yarn B, but it's actually in yarn A, and the photographs in the pattern show it in yarn A, and then the first stitch on the next side it says yarn B, but the pattern shows it as yarn A, which is how it worked out for me. And then I've done the corner, which is puff stitches. Puff stitches, I detest doing puff stitches, but I managed them. Whether they are sufficiently neat or not, I don't care. So I now need to carry on with the black and white stitches along the border. So do a little bit of that. Oh, I've skipped a stitch there because it's hidden. Let's just go back and come back here, you. Right, into the hidden stitch there. Ugh, get in. It's awkward. That's it. I'm not carrying the red, I've cut the red. I've got 2 ends here for the red, which I'll deal with at a later date. Well, a later time, not later date, it'll be today. Front. I always have to take that little fraction of a second to remember which way I'm going. Right, I've just had to undo that little bit that I did there because I realised I went into the corner to start this next row, but that wouldn't work out because we didn't start in the corner at this end. So we finish in the corner, but we start in the first stitch after the corner in white, and I'd started in the corner in white, so I'm having to redo that little bit that I did. So we start with white in the first stitch after the corner. That's how it seems to show it on Instagram. I really do not like Instagram for instructions. It's too fast. You can't slow it down. I much prefer YouTube. Okay, so, and then we're back to the usual. So this should work out again when we get down the other end, that the last stitch in white goes into the corner, and then we do the love art puff stitches, and then it's white in the first stitch again, and that will track. Well, that's how I'm doing it now. I'm not undoing. I'm not. It's so tedious doing this. Luckily I figured it out before I got too far. Now also I noticed from her Instagram when well, what I did manage to, or what it looked like to me, is that she doesn't carry the yarn along the stitches, she just leaves it behind. I don't know. Should I be doing that? I'm kind of used to carrying the yarn. Don't suppose it matters for one stitch, but also helps to secure it. I don't know. I think it looks okay the way I've done it. It doesn't seem to be pulling. So I shall carry on regardless. Yeah, what have I done there? That's not right, is it? I'm into the wrong stitch there. I've gone into the row below. Right, cancel that. It's me that's got the yarns mixed up. Yarn A is actually black and yarn B is white. So I've been calling them the wrong things. So it would have just been easier to have yarn B as black, but it's not. Yarn B is white. So my bad. Cancel what I said before. The pattern is correct. It's me that interpreted it wrong. Right, I'm coming up to the corner. So black to the back. That's where we have to bring in the red for the heart. So I'll leave black there, put white there, get red, complete the stitch with red. There we go. Oh, so many things. Right, puff stitch time. Oh, flipping 8 puff stitches. Ugh. Into the corner. I always end up with it too tight that I can't pull all the stuff through. Oh, I can't do it. Nope. Done it too tight. I have to undo it. Can't even get my hook out. Hate them. Hate them with a passion. Puff stitches. Detest them. Could do popcorns maybe, but it wouldn't look quite the same, would it? I keep pulling on the wrong end to undo. Come on. Right. Got to keep everything. All strands. What's going on? Right. Red. Into the corner. Pull up. pull up, pull up, pull up, all through. 1, 2. I don't think that's quite how she does her puff stitches, but I did it like that on the other end, so I'm doing the same all the way around now. It's okay, looks kind of heartish. Right, another puff stitch. Hate them, hate them, hate them. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. And now this time I've got to go through all that with white. Okay. Right. And then into the next stitch, to start this side off, we'll catch the red one strand and the black, because I'm bringing that with me. White, swap, pull gently, and then we go back. Did I go into the stitch there? Yeah. Going back down this row, this side now, and I'm going to cut the red. Get that out of the way. Okay, over the ends. Right. And we're back along the side now. And that's the corner puff stitches. 2 so far. I'm doing my 3rd edge now. Okay, we're getting to decision time regarding the legs now. So in the pattern, it doesn't talk about a different hook size for the legs. Like normally with amigurumi, you would go down a hook size. I'm just double checking. Special stitches. Nothing in there about it. So as far as I can tell, the requirement is still to do the legs with a 4mm hook, which I've done here, and I don't like the look of it. It's too holy. It kind of was easier to do. I didn't do the colour changes. To me, black and white striped tights is more witchy, not Alice in Wonderland. And when you look at the original film, she has black shoes and white tights, so I didn't do the change. But to me that just looks, it's too loose. So I'm not happy with that. So with these others I went down to 3mm, a 3mm hook. Here I carried on an extra row on the shoe by mistake, so that's a reject. So I'm going to go with these two feet. I'm not doing them again. I think they're acceptable. So I just need to sew those onto the middle. And then that'll be week 1 or part 1 completed. And I just still need to sew in all my ends. So these are my final feet. Little leggies. Okay. So they go over there to be used. These can go in the scrap yarn bin. Oh, that's still attached to the yarn. Cut that. Okay, so they can go in the yarn reject bin, ends bin. So here we have part 1 completed, and I just need to put the legs on in the middle and sew in all my ends, and then we'll be done. Done. There. That's cute. So I shall do that. Okay, the weaving of ends is progressing. I've completed up to the final round, and I've just been contemplating what to do with these corner red pieces, and I think I've come up with a solution. So what I decided, and I've done it on this one, hopefully you can not see what I've done. I think it still looks okay from this side. Well, as okay as my puff stitches are, because I don't like puff stitches and I do them crap. I've managed to hide the ends. So what I decided to do was tied, oops, get it in shot. So I've tied the ends. I don't like tying knots, but I haven't got much option here. So I'm tying the end in a double knot, just a granny knot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this through the bottom of the stitches that way, and this through the bottom of the stitches that way, and then tie another knot, another double knot. So let's do that. So I'm just trying to get through all the layers of the puff stitches without catching any of the black or white yarn, if I can help it. Like so. That's that one through. Well, that's already at that end, so hang on, what did I do there? Hold on. Oh, I know, I need to thread that and go through the other end. Go from this side with this end. Out this side, like so. We're okay on that side, and then I'm going to double knot it again. And then I'm just going to weave these ends up through the stitch and bury them inside it as much as I can and out the top. And just do it through the top of the stitches. That'll get caught in the border or whatever happens when it's joined. Like so. And just trim. And that's the best that I can do, I think. If anybody's got a better solution, please let me know for future reference. Right, so I'm going to do these other two corners, and then I've got this black and white situation to deal with. I'm not decided about that yet. Okay, so these black and white ends, I think I've come up with a solution. I finished off the red, don't worry about those little bits, they'll get stitched over when the border's done or when the join happens. So I've already sewn in the ends on this side, which hopefully you can't really tell. So I've started doing it here. I've done a double knot. I don't like knots, but not got a lot of choice. And then what I did here, what I'm going to do is run this along the bottom of these stitches here for a few, and then I will separate them. I will bring the black up after a black stitch and then take it back and come out at a black stitch and thread it up through the stitch. And the same with the white. I'll come out at a white, go back, come back up at a white and thread it up through the stitch. That's the best that I can do, I think, to hide it. I think it's done a reasonable job. I've done it on that side. It's not too bad, and obviously from this side it's not noticeable at all. And it's finished. I'm struggling to fit it all in frame. I'll insert a picture. I'll get a picture of it all in frame. So what I realised with the leggies was, because I hadn't changed colour, I had white to sew onto black. So I just had to be very careful and take the yarn under the stitches so as not to go out the back. Could have gone out the back, it wouldn't matter because it's the back, isn't it? It's not meant to be shown that way, but I tried to just skim under the front bits with the white yarn, and yeah, I think it looks okay. That's my opinion anyway. And I finished off the sewing in the ends of the border as well. So there we go, that is part 1 of the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland crochet blanket pattern by Alice Tarry at the Burrow UK. So So I'll put links to the cow in the description box down below. Thanks very much for watching. Come back for the next part, hopefully very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.